Hey everybody! Today's video I'm going to be talking about things to know when going to a salon to get your hair done, whether it be color or a cut and anything like that. I'm not going to cover every single thing in this video, so I'm probably going to be doing a second part to this or something along the lines of this video, sort of like a series. But if you have any questions that I did not cover, make sure you just ask me down below and I will be happy to answer those. So let's just jump right into it. Bring a picture in of what you do want and also of what you don't want. And I think that's really important because what I see in a picture, you might not see that. You might see the total opposite of what I'm thinking. What I like to do is discuss what I see in each of those photos because what I see, like I said, might be different from what a client sees. So that is called a consultation, which is important in every single appointment that you go to or that your stylist is doing with you. Consultation is the #1 thing that has to be done before even touching your hair. So that's why I always say bring in a picture, explain to them what you see in that picture that you like, and then the picture that you don't like, explain to them what you do not like in that picture. And that is a good start to sort of knowing what direction you are going in. Another thing with pictures, when people bring them in, sometimes their hair type is nothing like the picture at all. So say somebody comes in, they have really fine textured hair and they don't have a lot of it, and they bring in a picture of somebody with really thick hair and the cut requires a lot of hair to work with. It's not going to work with their hair, and a stylist should be completely honest with somebody. I always tell people, this picture, it's a really pretty cut, but I'm not quite sure it's going to work with your hair because your hair is quite fine. So that's why I think options are nice too. I like when people bring in multiple pictures because a lot of the times you don't know if a style is going to work for you if you don't know too much about hair. So a stylist should always be honest with you whether a haircut that you are wanting or even a color you are wanting is going to work with you or if it's not. Another thing before getting a new cut and color, you should ask the stylist about maintenance. How often am I going to have to come in to get this touched up? What products am I going to have to change in my routine? Am I going to have to pick a certain shampoo and conditioner that goes with this? Certain hairspray, a volumizing mousse, anything like that? Those are things you sort of need to know before getting a new cut or even a color. So say you get a cut and it is one that needs to be styled. You do need to know how to style it, what products to use. You need to know those things so that you can do it easily at home. And sometimes some people don't really know how to style their hair, and that's fine. But if you are picking a style that needs to be styled, make sure that you ask your stylist, am I going to be able to do this on myself? And what products am I going to need to buy? Is this going to be expensive for me to maintain? Those are things you need to know before getting a new cut or a color. Another thing I ask people is, are you willing to do the work of this style? I think it's kind of funny when people say that, I just want to wash and wear hairstyle. That is very rare. I swear there's probably like 5% of people that can do that. A lot of people don't have a wash and wear hairstyle, and seriously, I wish I had a wash and wear hairstyle, but it just does not work that way. So make sure that you do know that when going in. Most styles you are going to have to do a little bit of work with. And that sort of goes with color as well. If you're not somebody that likes to go to the salon every 4 to 6 weeks, be mindful of what hair color you want. Even ask a stylist, how often will I be needing to come in to get this touched up? If you are not wanting to get your hair touched up that often, you almost have to stay right around your natural hair color within like 2 levels each way, either a little lighter or a little darker. I would not go drastic at all. And I think that's another thing with the ombre is why people like it, is because they can have best of both worlds. They can have a little bit lighter on the ends without so much maintenance. So another thing I want to talk about is when people call about prices. This is something I know people want to know, but I cannot stand answering that question over the phone. A stylist does not know your hair if you've never been to them, or if somebody is asking for a price. I always say that I start at this price for that, and I always tell them, but it can go up depending on what your hair is now and what you want. Because when you think about it, if you're just calling over the phone, not everybody's going to have the same hair. So you almost have to realize that yes, they can give you a roundabout price range, but it's not going to be the exact price when you go in, more than likely. I've had people call before on the phone to say, oh, I just want a simple haircut, just a trim. Well, then they come in and they want a totally new haircut. Well, if I told you a certain price, like where I live, prices are pretty low, and if I told you just like the standard price, you come in, I almost feel like I have to give you that price, even though sometimes it is a lot more work than I had anticipated, and I feel like I'm almost getting gypped. And I think that's what a lot of stylists, they don't like giving a standard price. And sometimes some people will say that they just want a simple color, they basically just want what they have touched up, and then they come in and they want highlights, lowlights, and all over color, and sometimes it takes literally a few hours longer than what you were expecting, which is another thing that I sort of want to talk about. Before getting your hair done, it's a good thing to know what an all over color is, what highlights are, what lowlights are, because that way when you're calling and telling somebody, oh, I just want an all over color, that stylist knows, okay, I can put this amount of time marked out of my book. Sometimes people will call over the phone, and if I'm working on a client, I can't talk on the phone for 5 minutes to figure out what they are wanting. So sometimes when people say, I want a color, or if I didn't take the appointment and I just see color written on my book, I assume that it's only going to take me an hour and a half. Well, some people, when they say color, they want like the whole shebang. They want highlights, lowlights, or they're going to need it toned, everything like that. I've had sometimes where I've only marked out like 2 hours in my book, and it's taken me 5 hours to do that person's hair. So make sure that you know what you have and what you are wanting, because that is going to help the stylist out, as well as it will help you out, because they're not going to be feeling rushed trying to get you done so their next client can be sitting in their chair at that client's appointment time. So that kind of leads me to, if you know that you are going to be wanting something totally different than what you have color-wise, maybe tell them, this is what I have right now, and this is sort of what I'm wanting, so I know it might take a little bit longer than the typical color, so I just wanted to let you know if you needed to mark out a certain amount of time out of your book. And when somebody tells me that they want something totally different, I tend to put them as the last person in my book, so I know that I'm not rushing to get somebody else in my chair and that person out of my chair, because that is the last thing you want to do as a stylist, is rush, and that's the last thing a client is going to want you to do, is rush. So make sure as a client that you know what you are wanting, and maybe tell them, this is what I have now, this is what I want, and then you guys are more on the same page when you do come in to get your hair done. Another thing I hear a lot of stylists and self-employed people say is time is money, which is totally true. If I am, say, doing a color correction on somebody and I can't put anybody else in my book for that time, and I'm using more product and more of my time, know that color corrections, when you're going to get them done, it's going to cost more. It's taking more of the product, like color, bleach, toner, and it's taking more time for that stylist to fix your hair. So just know that when going in and getting something totally different or a color correction, it is going to cost more, and a lot of stylists will charge like a certain price and go up from there for every process that they have to do on your hair. So just know that going into a salon is probably going to cost a little bit more sometimes than what you're thinking. So that's another thing, is before you even sit in that stylist chair, maybe go in like a day or two before your appointment and kind of talk with the stylist if they have time, and just say, I know you can see this is what I have, and this is what I want, and maybe show a picture, and then that way you can sort of do a consultation before you are actually supposed to be going in, because that also kind of helps the stylist in knowing that certain processes that they're going to be having to do. And I guess I can kind of talk about going from brunette to blonde also. I see a lot of videos on YouTube of people doing it in one day, and they'll even put that in the title, brunette to blonde in one day. And although some people's hair, they can take it, just know that your hair might not be able to. And it's not just a one process. It's not like somebody just puts bleach all over their hair and then that's it. Going from a dark color to blonde should not be done in one day. I don't think that's healthy, and it might even take like literally a full day if that is what you're expecting. And just know that if a stylist doesn't want to do it and they tell you like this cannot be done, know that they are using their better judgment. Don't get mad at somebody that is doing your hair because what they're saying is, you know, we should really take this in like within a few months and kind of get you there gradually. They're saying that because they have the integrity of your hair in mind. So that's something you have to also think about. And if they're a good stylist, they're not just going to like do highlights on you and leave them orange. They will tone them, so it's still going to be a decent color. Just know that sometimes what you have in your mind might not be what you're going to get because of the color that you've had on your hair previously. And if you're not wanting to sacrifice length, just know that they are keeping the integrity of your hair in their mind when they're doing it. As long as the color looks nice and pretty and it's not like a brassy orange color or anything, just know that you can get to where you want to be. It might just not be within that one day. I can't really think of anything else I want to talk about right now, but like I said before, you can just ask me questions if you have them, and I'm going to be doing more videos sort of like this. So if you have any questions, I can also go over those in more videos. So make sure that you subscribe, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye.